feel really hemmed in my apartment right now by two different unpleasant things. I can always hear the neighbors are having a giant flood off of a punctured cooling line on the air conditioning situation on their roof over there. I've tried to get a hold of the property owners. I've left messages. I went over there and talked to a guy, then I felt like I couldn't talk to other neighbors. But it's like leaking bad, and it has been for like a week. And every time I draw those blinds or open that window, it's just like annoying. And I'm like, their roof's gonna rot. It's gonna be a big construction project. It'll make our landlord decide to tear the building down or something also. I see how these chain reactions go. It's annoying. And I have somewhat self-serving reasons for wanting it fixed, but also I hate to see just a blatant waste of water. We live in a freaking desert. And it's gonna rot that roof out, and it could get to their electric boxes. It's like dripping right on them. Idiots. There's so much like neglect at every level involved in this problem. The landlord, people should know about it. Every single one of these tenants should have called on it, and evidently none of them have, or they have and they're being ignored. But I mean, I don't know. In my old house, I'd just get a ladder, get up on the roof, fix it. But that's not even my house. I've been having a hard time trying to find out who owns it. I think I may have called the right one today, but it's like a robo answering service, so I haven't gotten any. Anyway, and out the front windows, there's this idiot guy who just lives in the parking lot here, basically. He's the brother of someone who's lived here. If you've watched past videos, you know what I'm talking about. This guy sucks. He's got to be like dealing drugs. And why else would you just be in a parking lot all the time? There's really blatant graffiti around here, like a nearby sidewalk says 505 plug. Like, oh my gosh, that's so overt. A plug is a middleman person for getting drugs. You probably use an app like Telegram or Signal. Unfortunately, I've had way too close a look at these things from a guy that shot up our house back in 2020, and my daughter's awareness of this guy. But this guy, he seems dim-witted and easily prone to violence, so that's great. He gestured as if he was pulling a gun out on me one time, and he threatened the cable guy who was installing stuff here. I've often thought of alerting the property owners, and I told him that once. He's like, what? Because he thought I was going to say go to the cops, but I just go to the property owners. Hey, I don't want to do that because he's the brother of two of my downstairs neighbors, and my life could get quite annoying if I piss off all my neighbors. My kids are like, just live in peace. My oldest kid, Anodyne, who you may have heard in a previous video, everyone in Albuquerque sells drugs and does drugs. I'm like, ugh, it's so annoying. I'm driving out to work, I see him driving in. I'm like, great. Oh, amazing, he left. Someone must have bought some drugs or something. I had to deliver those before coming back and loitering for 24 hours. Try and take 2 on the chicken tonight. Tonight I'm gonna boil it. But I gotta defrost it first, and it's like impossible. The microwaves, I'll enter defrost code. I'm like, great. Someday this clip will be of historic value. 100 years in the future. Do you think microwaves will ever go away and be quaint? That's 1,000 years off, if ever. But I've been wrong about some future trends before. Like, I thought the Nintendo Wii would not be popular. I'm like, gamers are not going to want to be active like that. I was wrong. Prismo was right, though. Prismo invested in Wii stock. Has an independent estate that she won't let us visit. Me or Squirrel. It's rude, but she's so cute. We love her anyway. What a cat. Oh, you thought this channel was about books? Sorry, folks. It's not about books. It's about cats. It's called The Collection of Cats. Collection of 2. Anyway, feeling hemmed in by the world. That's weird. I suppose I could be an insensate clod like seemingly most people. I don't know. Not to offend other people because you're all not me also, but it just seems like a lot of people are real clods. You know, and I guess that's judgmental and condescending, but I guess what I mean is that I think a lot of people live unexamined lives. So, yeah. And they like lack self-awareness, or they don't think about it in a big project, and I don't know. They're the kind of people that like they're playing the radio and like between songs a bunch of like really loud ads come on and they just leave it on because they're just staring off and like thinking about whatever. I don't know. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm not like that. Me, I'm different, to quote the internet meme. See, I've gone the much more intelligent path of just tormenting myself with thinking about everything all the time, nonstop. So that's probably really healthy. To keep the book stacks or not? We'll see. Movie magic. Let there be light. Okay, let's look at some more nonfiction. I mean, what even is this video? I just ranted about my apartment for like 5 minutes. But the apartment is the shell that holds the collection of books. The apartment and the book collection have a symbiotic relationship. The apartment protects the books, and the books provide insulation and sonic muffling for the apartment, making it a better place, a warmer, more inviting place, and a place where people are happy and talking about knowledge. I don't know what it is, but you can like kind of tell when you're in an area where just only people have been angry or something. DC felt freaky. I was in DC. Not that it's only, I don't know. Where else? I don't know. Some spaces are just friendly and inviting. That's so weird. Why is that? Some places horrible things happened at, and even before you find out about it or what it is, you're like, don't like this place. You know, that's kind of how I feel about Albuquerque Sunshine Theater a little bit. Like, it's a grand old historic venue, sure. It's got great neon, and the building itself, wow, you know, history. Goes back to the very beginnings of New Albuquerque, the 1880s when the railroad was around. It's an old building. I think so. You can see its sign in a lot of really old photos of Albuquerque. Anyway, the rapper Atmosphere played here, and I was just talking to someone at work who was at this show where this happened, and so it's kind of fresh in my mind. And a woman was like horribly assaulted and murdered at this show. And I guess Atmosphere wrote a song about it. He did, I've heard it. It's called Albuquerque. But I don't know. I always just was like, maybe I felt that there or something like that. Even before I knew about it, I don't know. I used to criticize the sound a lot. I'm like, I don't know. It's fine, I guess. There's only so many venues. But I wish the Sunshine would add really local acts as openers when they book touring acts, because they always book touring acts, and it's managed by the same guy who manages the Launchpad. So, like, come on, you know there's a local scene. You care about them. You know, boost them up. It's not rinky-dink or small town to promote your own. We don't have a regional radio network anymore, so opening acts is a great way to do it. Even if the touring band has an opening act, put an opener in front of that one. That's fine. People will see a bill with 3 bands. Sorry, there is a chance that I could actually see this. Sorry, Joe, I was just going off. I guess I have some thoughts. Don't tag him, though, or anything. I don't know. I feel the same way about filmmakers. I think Ari Aster, being from New Mexico, should, like, promote some New Mexico artists and stuff like that. He just filmed something here. But, I don't know. I told my friend who's friends with him, like, really good friends with him growing up in Santa Fe, tell him to promote New Mexico artists. Like, have him look up the Gatas y Vatas festival is what I told him. My friend was just like, I think he's doing fine making his own movies. Like, come on, you gotta try. Especially from when you're a scrappy little dusty place, you know, where opportunities grow as scarce as pinon seeds. Which is actually pretty profuse. But, like, you know, it means it's a valued resource in the desert. All right, let's look at some books. Why? I don't know. I started this channel. Can't turn back now. That is the sunken cost fallacy. But I always say there should also be the sunken cost argument. Like, hey, I put a lot of work into this. I don't want to give up now. Like, sure, sunken cost fallacy when we're talking about Bush in Iraq. But for this project, it's the sunken cost argument. Lords of finance, the bankers who broke the world. Oh, I love just knowing I can look at a book and be like, this will ignite such class rage in me. A little orange-spined penguin book. I know the rage you will incite in me. And the annoyingness you will grant to me with your knowledge. Did you know? Okay, I love books about years, and I'm very interested in the year 1000 area around then. Like, that's cool to look at, you know. What was going on 1,000 years ago? And, you know, I'm interested in every year. But one time I was at a gas station, and I was like, this is 2007. And I really felt it. And I realized something that stayed with me ever since. Gizmo is so cute. And also, we live in a time, man. Not just a place, a time. And we realize this a little, I think, as we get older, and times become discrete packages in the past, identifiable, almost like places that we were once. Remember in the 90s how it was always like blah, blah, blah? I keep hearing screaming. I hope it's happy children playing. All right, maybe the plan should be get famous ASAP, get the book into the world, get a freaky New Yorker profile of my super poor ghetto apartment. I say ghetto because I'm literally kind of in a ghetto. And then I'm moving somewhere else. But also, I like the idea of like polishing a place worth of possessions over 2 years. I just heard what sounded like my voice repeat back, screaming for one thing. What was that? It's just some guy's voice from next door, like an audio thing. Huh. That's the other thing in an apartment. You're like, am I going insane or am I hearing something really weird through the floor? Is it the cats? Is it a neighbor? Well, this looks like I've talked a little about this book. I haven't even read the subtitle. Nicholas Campion, The Great Year. Astrology, Millenarianism, and History in the Western Tradition. Oh, I don't think this is the year 1000. This is like, maybe it's about the idea of a great year and it's not about one specific year. Because they're not telling us the year in the back here. Penguin Arcana, whoa. It's like the secret penguin imprint. Oh, astrology, millenarianism, and history in the Western tradition. Oh, that's a great premise. Whoa, I had no idea what I had here. Those who ignore history are condemned to repeat it. I suppose that's a good philosophical justification for history. Great year, cool. I don't know. Let's check it out. Tell us our fortune. The entire history of Greek and Roman political ideas and institutions is one of diversity rather than uniformity, with the democracies of the Greek city-states or Republican Rome standing in complete contrast to the monarchies of Alexander, his Hellenistic successors, and Imperial Rome. Diversity rather than uniformity, I feel like, is the key takeaway here for us. So, yeah, who doesn't love variety? Strength and diversity and multiple talents. It's like that old story, The King and Six Friends, you know? Everyone has their gift, or the fool of the world and the flying ship. Any of those old folk stories where someone wanders along and acquires helpers who have powers. Maybe the Brave Little Tailor is kind of like that. Hey, this looks awesome. Like, I'm not even kidding, and I'm not making it up, that I genuinely feel kind of interested in pretty much everything. I think the world is interesting. I feel like I'm an anthropologist among humans sometimes, but then I'm like, what am I? Like, just feel like I'm always paying attention. I mean, I still have my own feelings and experiences and stuff. And I believe I am one of you. Certainly, after so many centuries of living among you. But this looks very good. From the rise of Islam to the Palestinian issue, from the Prophet Muhammad to Muhammad. Albert Harani. Okay, that sounds like a Middle Eastern name. So it's not like the whitest guy ever writing it. It's just his, like, racist notions. Did no research. I hear they got horns. And goat legs. Great. No, this looks like a really good book. A masterly summation is difficult. Yeah, any book like this just always like ends up adding such like knowledge and perspective to your life. I will read this. Hey, the year 1000. What life was like at the turn of the first millennium in Englishman's world. Well, I would bet money that I had ancestry around there then at that time. Though not guaranteed, because I know that I had a British ancestor come into England with William the Conqueror, which would have meant Norman or Norse ancestry at this time. But there probably would have been some at this time too, so probably. Yeah, you know, British history is actually very interesting. Now, is there an overlap between people that are interested in it in America and like total racists? Yes. But I don't want to be anywhere near that overlap or in the racist group. I just want to appreciate the giant thought that like, whoa, my genes were like existing back in this time. And if these people had died before reproducing, I wouldn't exist. And we're all bound together in this like huge intergenerational kind of multidimensional superorganism, like a pan-temporal being of shared genetics across so much time. A pantemporal superorganism, yeah, that's what I would say. Pantemporal across all time. Superorganism, like E.O. Wilson described ants, as a collective, not just organisms, but superorganisms and how they work as a colony. So, in a way, we do have shared interests with our past and future selves, I suppose. Our fates are intertwined in a way. Yeah, like I always think about how when they DNA tested some bones from the Stonehenge area, they found a living descendant, that it was a perfect DNA match in that area still. That's crazy. The Neolithic era. What is that, like 10? Is that 10,000 years ago? Can't find the Stonehenge and Avebury book. It's really distinctive. It's like a tourist book from like the 60s. It's paperback. No, that's poetry. Pretty cool old book, though. Another Lawrence Ferlinghetti. You threw me off, man. You threw me off. To me, it kind of feels like a heist, that the beatnik generation was a thing that happened. It was literally just this eccentric group of friends. And they ended up all becoming icons of their generation to various degrees. City Lights Bookstore was the long shadow of Ferlinghetti and his writing. He was definitely a minor beat, but he was mentioned in Kerouac's books and in whatever identity. Yeah, it's like if the Fast and the Furious crews stole their way into literature or something a little bit. There is like a vitality and an energy there, and I like a lot of beat generation stuff. I really appreciate Kerouac. I think Kerouac was like a necessary step in my writing life. He was just like freed me to just write. His idea of kick writing, I'm glad somebody was around to say, but you've also got to get into editing. My old English teacher, Mike Crockett, you can't just kick write. Even Kerouac didn't do that. I've done research on it. And I sworn that Avebury book was over here. What the? Where else would it be? Have I gone insane? Oh, the antique shelf? Maybe. From now on, this channel will just be a tale of obsession as I look for this book. You really think it would be an art crit? What are you thinking? Yeah, Stonehenge is kind of art, but that's like architecture. Cultural studies, you might have thought of it as, no, that's history. Oh, that's so pretty. Love that. I suppose a nice thing about this book channel is that it gives me an excuse to look at my book collection, and my book collection does give me like very real pleasure and suggest reading things and keep me intellectually engaged a little bit. The channel is probably a more superficial engagement. Where is that book? I'm going crazy for this thing. I forgot I was defrosting chicken. Am I going to die from this now? One more time and then I'll get it boiling. Whatever, life's short, let's risk death. Because I'm hungry. Right, we've looked at these books. Let's move on. They both look cool. This was interesting. This was recommended to me highly from a friend. And it got me into this author, and I discovered a book I like better from her, The Argonauts. But Bluet's is pretty good too. It's about falling in love with the color blue, and it's just like this meta book-length essay on the color blue with personal elements. It's cool. It's interesting. It's poetic. A lot of beautiful lines, a lot of thought. What is color? What's its role in our lives? It does something, right? Something real. Like, it's as real as a theme. In movies, we celebrate that, the better ones. Suspiria, best coloring of any movie, I think. The original. Not the very muddy digital remake. Okay, for this one, I would just say, go watch the video that I recorded with my daughter Anodyne, because she talks about listening to it on an audiobook every day for like 4 years when she was falling asleep at night, because it was one of the few audiobooks we had in the home collection. She was like, it's really interesting. Pretty exciting. So this is one of those narrative pop history books that I like this mode. This kind of got me into... This was the kind of stuff I wanted to write when I was getting into grad school. I've always had literary inclinations and ideas too, but I wanted to be like Hampton Sides or Oliver Sacks, but historical, or Simon Winchester. And then I got into the grad program at UNM, and I brought in this 10,000 word, heavily researched essay I did about the murder of journalist Carl Taylor in 1936. The penitentes were suspected, but it was his 15-year-old neighbor who might have been a penitente. It was sensational, and there's a movie based on it, and I did 2 podcast episodes of it on my podcast, Seat on the Edge, way back in the archive. But they're good, and I read that whole piece in it. But I read it for, it's a crazy story. It's very interesting. But it's an obscure story that it's not really been collected and told in any one place, at least not in a very long time. There's never been a book on it. There's never been a movie based on it. It's had influences and so on. This whole endeavor is so foul. No pun intended. This is like blood. So modern. Look at that thing. Zaps it with rays. Kind of like something out of one of these books. I gotta give this book points just for being so shiny, though. It's like the shiniest book I own. And the shiniest book award goes to definitely this one. And I applaud that because, and all humans should, because our whole system of economic value is based on how shiny things are. Why do we love gold? It's just the shiniest thing. How about silver? That's good too, but it's not as shiny, so it's not as good. We need to just all admit that humanity is just a big quest for shininess. Okay, I'm going to reclassify this book out of the general nonfiction and into this shelf I've got going on that I consider just like books of utility. And if I encounter like cleaning books or repair books or whatever, surviving in the woods books, the knowledge type books, I'm going to put it. That's not staying like that. I'll reorganize that. Don't love a horizontally stacked shelf, but sometimes you got to do it with weird sized books. It's the kind of book, if I actually read that book, it would like improve my life so much, probably. Imagine that. I should nerd out like when I was a little kid and read an what was it? What? Field Guide to North American Wildlife or something when I was a kid. This one, I read that cover to cover as a kid, but I should do that with this and like actually learn some stuff. But it's so boring. But it's, I mean, that's why we don't read this kind of stuff normally, right? It's just kind of like a drag. Like, and here's how you painstakingly fix something. But that's the wrong attitude, because when you watch a YouTube video of someone doing anything well, it's usually like kind of satisfying on some level. Oh, that's how you do that. They're good at it. Anyway, this is a cool book. It's got an interesting little partial cover. If a book cover is the equivalent of a swimsuit, this one's a little racy. That's inappropriate. I'll have to cancel myself. As the shadow of the millennium descended across England and Christendom, it seemed as if the world was about to end. Actually, it was only the beginning. How tall was the average person in 1000 AD? What is an elf shot? What was the connection between 50 pounds of pure silver, 2 greyhounds, 2 shields, 2 swords, and a couple of lances? How do we know that monks wore underwear? All right, you're fired, person that wrote this back cover copy. Why do you make it sound like a flippant airport read? Welcome to the year 1000. This is what life was like. Ugh. It's just like a big difference. There must have been something going on with inflation in Canada or something when this one came out. I don't remember there being a $12 difference between the American and Canadian dollar. 23 in America and 31 in Canada. This was owned by an unscrupulous Canadian merchant that changed the prices with an airbrush. When I was there in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was like $1 or $2 difference between US and Canadian dollars. Not that much, I think. We just uncovered a conspiracy. I have no doubt this goes all the way to the top. What's our fortune from this one? Wolfstan sketched out the intricacies of give and take on any estate, emphasizing how regulations should be flexible and responsive to varying local conditions. Yeah, that's just good advice. I like my daughter Willow's name because I feel like the willow really symbolizes a really cool kind of strength, the ability to just flatten to the ground and endure in a big windstorm, and being just as unbroken as the mighty unyielding oak afterward, you know. Sometimes less broken. Willow was named by her older sister Anodyne after the willow tree that grew next to the old house we shared in that family and they lived in after the divorce. And I don't know, I thought it was like a beautiful symbol or something. You know, saying like, you know, especially that Anodyne picked it. It's like, Dad'll take care of you, you know, don't worry. He always waters that tree. But then later, the landlord sold that house. Had a long chapter there, married to the kid's mom and my first wife, and a long subsequent chapter of being at that house a lot because the kids were still there with their mom, and I was at a nearby-ish apartment, and they were over at my house every week too, of course, for some of the days. After that, we had a way more ideal situation with their mom and I having houses across the street from each other. And the kids would just run between the two houses. And I was married to my second wife. Then our house got shot up, and there was a 2-year downfall of everything. But the people that bought the old house, I wrote that place names essay about a long time ago. They were like the worst. They just parked cars all over the grass there, let all the plants die, let the willow tree die. And I thought that was that on that. And I was like, that was such an important symbol. We'd always check on it when we drive by it and so on. Then I found out that a former neighbor from across the street had cut off a clipping because he was a total botanist and had that literal willow tree alive as a seedling still on his property, and he would give it to us. So I need to pick that up sometime. I don't have a property to put it on now. The kids could put it on their mom's property. How did I get on all this? Sorry. Why are books so connected with everything? They're like my biggest trigger. I should not talk about them or look at them. It ain't safe. Can't believe these idiots actually think I like books. Oh, here's another great one. Booktube, that's where the money is. Just say you like books and you can print the stuff. That joke doesn't really work though, because where did all these books come from? Why are they in my place? They were here when I got here? Honestly, boiled chicken, this sounds horrible. But it also sounds like food. Free food, that's cool. So I'm gonna die of salmonella. Like, if boiled chicken sounds so bad to you, why are you making it? Because of how badly baked chicken turned out. And I don't want the fire hazard of frying. Gather round, what's sure to not be good, but maybe be okay. Woo! I'll take this video to 30 minutes. That's probably, maybe someone will watch a 30-minute video. I don't know. This just looks like a magazine issue, and on one level it is, but it's like book bound. It's a book, kind of. Floppy book. But this is so useful, and it's one of my 2 top resources for writing about the Kenai Peninsula of Alaska, which has figured into my writing a lot. Good research. This really is like a National Geographic for Alaska. It's like well written. Look, that's where I lived, Soldotna. Oh man, it was amazing. Somewhere on here circled the workplace, the cabins we lived in. The cabins were like over here somewhere. The workplace was over there somewhere. Would walk across the river when it was frozen. So scary. I'd ride my bull to work. This is how we all... Oh no, here's the picture of where we were. See the circled places? The top one is the coffee shop I worked at. The bottom one is the, what was it? The cabins I lived in. And the top uppermost one was my friend Ray's mom's house. And that's not a your mom joke directed at my friend Ray. That is true. She had this little sauna shack next to it, and we fitted it out into like a little bunkhouse, and Ray and I lived there. It was actually quite spacious in its way. We each had like, sizable... It was like 2 sheds put together in size. Our beds were sauna slats. And then this cabin area down here was amazing. And it would freeze in winter. Walk. And if not, we'd have to take this long route over here. It was a very long, cold walk. Rocking out to Beethoven's First Symphony on headphones. Living that young literary freak life. Now I'm living that old literary freak life. The ordinary, or middle-aged literary freak life. This guy's name is Rinkerbuck. We're all just like, okay, we just all accept that. Don't talk about it. Tiptoe around the fact that it's kind of a weird name. It's inappropriate to criticize someone's name. But his name is Rinkerbuck. Can't I say anything? Shh. Reminds me of the fake names my younger sibling used to make up. Chip Wheatley, things like that. You always have a simple, weird part that's weird for its simplicity, and a more complicated, funny part in that way. A lot of people came west on the Oregon Trail. Then it was the first education and only educational video game to enter the Video Gaming Hall of Fame. I found, though, that an interest in the video game or Oregon Trail doesn't mean an interest in the Oregon Trail as a topic. Sometimes I'll be talking with people about the video game, the Oregon Trail, because they brought it up. And they'll know what that is, but The Oregon Trail does not interest them. They yell at me to stop telling them history facts, and they drive me into the woods with pointed sticks, where I just hang out like I do, walking between the trees, occasionally crying. Ugh, stupid chicken. There's just no way this will turn out okay. There's just no way. I do not have this kind of faith in myself. Someone should break in here now and murder me right now. This is going to be so bad. Boiled chicken. Maybe a good cook could pull off such a gross sounding recipe. We'll see. I'm very skeptical. I have more faith that I will get salmonella poisoning from this whole endeavor. I hope it's not lethal or really debilitating. I already burned my hand. That was yesterday. Yes, it hurts. So I'm so brave for dealing with it. Children are always judging me in my kitchen. Thanks, kids. That's a channel deep cut right there. One of the first videos I was like, this quotation book is not good. Alright, well, my brother, who is a trans woman who lives in a house with all refugees from around the world in Denver, just is texting me right now that they're getting raided by ICE. I gotta go.